Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jake Milham. On the other side of the screen is Jeremy Akias Greco, as always. Jeremy, a very busy latter half of the week when it comes to baseball, huh? That's what happens when we got the WBC in full swing.
Yeah, buddy. We got that WBC action.
It's
I
been
don't know
really
why
fun.
you said it like that.
Action. I feel like we need
Uh,
an echo effect on that.
One of the announcers for the Pool B games, every time Vinny Pasquantino comes to the plate, he calls Pasquantino, and I'm just like, okay, know
All
what? I mean,
right,
they
that's a
love
choice.
Pasquantino, so I'm having a great time. But
They do. Unfortunately, Vinny has not given them a lot to love at the plate so
he's
far in
given them
WBC.
okay. So Vinny is the captain of Italy,
Right.
and he has given them 3 walks.
Yes.
So he's not done nothing.
No.
He's also, every time someone hits a home run, he brews the espresso using the instant espresso machine and hands it to the player. Today, they had it really refined. Yesterday, he was brewing him an espresso, and the one I loved was when he was on base when the guy hit a home run. So he ran the bases and he ran through the dugout, not accepting celebration, so he could get to the espresso machine and brew up the espresso for the guy who hit the home run. But yesterday, the espresso was too hot. They would take a sip, they would spit it out immediately, and they were trying to figure out how we're going to do this. And they were threatening JP Morosi, who's doing sideline reporting for Pool B in Daikon in Houston. And they were threatening that they were just going to brew it ahead of the half inning where they batted. And then if no one hit one, they would just make him drink it. And he's like, do I need to be 9 espressos deep in this game? Of course, twice the Italians have hit 2 home runs in an inning, so that also would work. But they refined the process today. The espressos were not too hot, and they also had a blazer. They were putting on a blazer and then taking a shot of espresso. So Italy is fired up, baby.
Yeah, they certainly are, and they are definitely caffeinated so far. They're really keeping the pressure on Team USA and Mexico in that pool.
If they want to advance to the quarterfinals, these were 2 games they had to win. So each team plays 4 games, and these were the 2 weaker opponents. There's kind of 3 tiers in Pool B, which is the pool that I'm paying the most attention to. So I'm sorry if I can't tell you anything about Japan or Dominican Republic. I'm paying the most attention to Pool B because Italy, as I've said before, is the team I'm pulling for. There's kind of 3 tiers in this pool. There is USA. Then there's Mexico, which, depending on who you ask, is in the same tier as USA, might be in the same tier as Italy. Italy is in the second tier. And then you've got Great Britain and
Brazil.
Brazil are in the third tier. So Italy played Brazil yesterday. They played Great Britain today. These were two games they pretty much had to win if they wanted a chance to move on. They got an off day tomorrow. Then they play USA on Tuesday. Probably going to lose that game.
Probably, but you never know.
Not necessarily. They'll have a major league pitcher starting that game, either Michael Lorenzen or Aaron Nola.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and they've got major league hitters all throughout their lineup, so there's a shot. They've got a puncher's chance. They've got a better chance than Brazil or Great Britain had. And then they've got Mexico for the final game, and that may be the deciding game. Is the final game of the pool on Wednesday, or their final game of the pool. If they beat Mexico, they're in pretty much. If they beat America and lose to Mexico, I'm not sure how it'll all work out. But if they lose to USA and beat Mexico, I think they're in. I think that's how that goes. Brazil is out. Great Britain is out. They have to play each other, and whoever wins that game automatically qualifies for the next WBC. So that's still important for them. And then they each have to play one more game that doesn't matter, that will, it affects other people's standings, so they still have to play it.
Right. With such a small window to play games and an overall small number of teams, even these meaningless games can have like ripple effects on the overall standings. You know what I mean? I think the only team other than Great Britain that's been eliminated. Oh no, sorry. Czechia did get eliminated, although they're still really fun to watch.
Has Chinese Taipei been eliminated yet? I thought they were.
I don't think so.
No, Brazil not eliminated? I thought they were also.
Brazil is not eliminated yet either. Of course, we're recording this on Sunday afternoon. It's 5:20 Eastern. There are a good amount of games still to be played. So by the time folks are listening to this, that might have changed. But we'll keep y'all posted. Primarily, I'm watching Team USA. They're 2-0, baby.
by the way, this doesn't matter to anyone probably that's listening to this, but I have to point out that Chinese Taipei is Taiwan. That's just the name that the international sporting community has agreed upon to get China to shut up. They call Taiwan Chinese Taipei.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why that's better enough, because it's still like, well, they're performing separately from you, China. The politics of this is that China doesn't. China says Taiwan belongs to them, and Taiwan says says we're an independent country. So then China says, well, you can't be Taiwan, or we're going to cause trouble. And then they say, okay, fine. In international sporting events, we're Chinese Taipei, whatever. And it's like, well, they're still not China, so why is that okay with you?
Yeah. This is a whole geopolitics thing that I don't have a full grasp on, so I'm not going to open my mouth about it.
I guess that's why I'm not a high-level diplomat, because I don't get it.
Well, there are some things we do get, such as the Kansas City Royals around here, so we're going to be talking about a little bit that we've seen from Noah Cameron.
But the WBC?
No, we will get back to the WBC.
The games that the Royals have played since the WBC started have not been inspiring.
No, they haven't. They really
They're
haven't.
missing half the team.
Exactly. Like that's why I don't care about the results once the WBC starts. And to be fair, that is a part that I think fans have a right to grump about when it comes to the WBC, is because you're not only taking the guys away from the coaching, you're also taking them away from your team's games.
You can watch the WBC.
Right. But some folks are a fan of the team and not a fan of the players. You know how that works?
So this is where I'm going to bring in the Tarek Skubal stuff.
Okay.
Because this is relevant to this discussion. Tarek Skubal had originally agreed he was going to pitch one game for USA.
Yeah.
Now he's contemplating pitching a second game for Team USA as they try to search out their second World Baseball Classic championship ever. Because he had a really good time, I guess, or he felt a lot of national pride or whatever. And there's Ken Rosenthal wrote a really interesting article. I don't always agree with Ken Rosenthal's takes. In fact, I frequently disagree with Ken Rosenthal's takes. I opened the article expecting to be mad, but I thought he actually had this one kind of right, that nobody has any right to be mad at Tarek Skubal, no matter which decision he makes, whether he decides to continue with Team USA or returns to the Tigers. This is not a once in a lifetime opportunity, but a very rarely in a lifetime opportunity to pitch in a really cool tournament. And it's the next best thing, I would argue, to the Olympics for a baseball player. It might be better than the Olympics in some ways, because the Olympics drastically restricts the field compared to what the WBC allows. So the competition's completely different. And yeah, so Tarek Skubal wants to play in the WBC, then you got to let him. Because how many other opportunities will he have? Maybe none. This might be a once in a lifetime opportunity. And it is a really cool opportunity. So you got to let him. If he chooses not to pitch, well, then that also makes sense, because the guy is seeking life-altering money even after already receiving life-altering money. Let me tell you, if I got, what was it, $32 million? Is that what he got in arbitration?
Yeah.
If I got $32 million, my life would be changed. No doubt about it. But he's seeking, generational changing money. 32 million changes your life. Hundreds of million changes your kids' lives and your grandchildren's lives and your great-grandchildren's lives, probably.
Exactly.
And on and on. So if he chooses not to pitch for Team USA because he thinks it will be better for his health and for his earning potential to not do so, then I think you have to respect that also, because it's his life and he's got to live it. That's basically what I come down to on this. So no one, I think, gets to complain that the WBC is taking players away from their spring training games. The WBC is super cool, and we should be excited for all the guys who choose to participate, for all the countries they get. Nate Eaton, if he's in Boston right now, or wherever Boston plays their spring training games, it's Fenway South is the name of their park in Florida. If he was there, he'd be playing half of a game, and probably in the back half of the game, not really starting very often, because he's not considered, a top of the roster player.
He's a depth guy.
Yeah. And in the WBC, he gets to be the leadoff hitter and the star for Great Britain.
Yeah.
And that's true for all of these guys. It's a chance to do something that they couldn't otherwise do that's really cool. So even for Tarek Skubal playing on Team USA, that's something he doesn't get to do. It's a completely different experience than pitching for the Detroit Tigers.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
And
is.
I'm not gonna listen to anyone complain about, oh, they're in the WBC instead of on my team. Shut up.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
These guys get to live their lives too.
Hey, fair enough. Also, shout out to Nate Eaton getting that first pitch home run off of Tarek Skubal.
Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
Way to bring it back, Jacob. Way to tie that back in. Very nice.
They didn't even have the score bug up yet. Like, that was...
Yeah.
They were just coming back into broadcast. Bam, the ball was over the fence.
He had 3 hits today against Italy.
Like you said, he's a star for the Brits, if you will.
And Trace Thompson plays for Great Britain. He's one of their stars. He can't get a major league job right now.
Nope. Like, genuinely, a lot of these guys, more often than not, in the WBC, they have major league experience, but they aren't on a roster somewhere. That is the majority.
Yeah. Well, there's also a lot of minor league guys in there too.
Yeah.
Especially on, I think teams like Czechia are, they pretty much don't have any pro-American ball talent,
No.
but they got some Mexican league guys. They got some Japanese league guys, a couple Koreans, I think. It all works out, but yeah, there is a lot of major league talent. There's also a lot of not major league talent, and I think that does show. Like, the defense is especially pretty spotty for these teams, at least the games I've watched, which I've primarily focused on Team Italy, like I said before, and the defense is kind of spotty. Things can spiral real fast, which is, I guess, why they have those mercy rule rules that they have. If you're leading by 15 or more after 5 innings or 10 or more after 7 innings,
Yeah.
which gives you an opportunity to hit a walk-off home run while you're leading. Juan Soto did that today. Hit a walk-off home run that gave his team the runs needed to mercy rule it. So that's fun.
It is.
But that's not a thing you would expect to see in MLB ever.
No, never.
Yeah, so it's a very different experience, but it's also a very fun experience. And if you get a chance to watch, some of these games are free. I know there's some on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
There's some on the Fox One app, which I signed into, but I'm not sure if you have to. And yeah, so there's opportunities to watch some of these games, and it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying myself a lot.
Yeah, let's see here. What do we got on the slate
I'm
for?
getting excited about, it also gives you an opportunity to see some guys you wouldn't necessarily see otherwise. Like, I'm getting excited about Dante Nori, who is an A-ball player for the Phillies, who's crushing it for Team Italy.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So if you're listening to this on Monday morning, then make sure you circle your calendar, because at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Kaufman Standard Time, the United States team is going to be taking on Team Mexico on Fox.
That's going to be a big deal game. That one's going to be worth watching. That's going to be mostly major league talent on that field.
Yep, mostly. So that's definitely one to tune into, I would say. And then day after that, 9 p.m. Eastern, Italy and Team USA going at it.
Which is also going to be, I think, a really good game.
Yep, exactly. So make sure
the Italians are playing above their weight. And it turns out, I think that Italy is building kind of a baseball culture.
Yeah, a little bit, it seems like.
It's not just Vinny Pasquantino and Jack Caglione. There's some really good Italians that are participating. So, hey, that's one more example of how the WBC is improving the health of baseball. The more talent there is around the globe wanting to play baseball, whether that's in Italy, Czechia, Chinese Taipei, Australia, wherever, that's your that you can draw from more players, you get more talent, you get better games. You can have more teams. You can do all this stuff.
Yeah. Growing the game as a whole, that's the best thing we can hope for. So speaking of growing the game, one guy who's done a pretty good job of that since he hung up the cleats is Eric Hosmer. You know, he had the podcast. He had a pretty good run on social media there, and I don't think that's going to end anytime soon, but he can add another thing to the resume, joining the Royals TV crew as their newest analyst, and is apparently going to be in a rotation of color commentary with Rex Hudler and Jeremy Guthrie. Jeremy, how do you feel about this? I think this is going to be interesting.
Someone I know, and I'm not going to say who they are because I don't want them to take any flack, but someone I know put it as, it's nice to see the Royals adding new fresh blood to the team, same as when they added Bridget Howard, who I thought did pretty good in her debut. But Eric Hosmer, I fully expect him at least once a game to say something extremely old school and make me want to tear my hair out.
Well, isn't that what Rex does?
I'm just used to it with Rex. Probably. And I'll get used to it with Eric Hosmer too. I take a little bit of issue. I have a hard time being a fan of Hosmer.
Really?
Because, there's the story about him paying the tab for an entire club after the Royals won a playoff game. But there's also the story of him mocking, I believe it was Eno Saris, for asking an advanced statistics question in the clubhouse once. So, I feel like he's kind of a bro, and in not a good way. And so I'm a little hesitant, but I'm trying to be open-minded about it.
Yeah, we'll see how it translates to the booth. You know, frankly, I know he's done a lot of work on MLB Network as an analyst, and it seems like he's got that polished. But while that is a broadcast, it's a very different environment than being a color commentator, you know?
They've had him on interviews in game a couple times last year, and he seemed like he at least had the speaking well part down.
There you go.
So we'll see what happens when he's actually talking for longer about the game than an inning or two. Like I said, I'm a bit hesitant, but I'm trying to be open-minded. He could be very good at it. I think that is a real possibility that we could absolutely love having Eric Hosmer in the booth. I would
agree.
vote for Mike Moustakas because he was my favorite player out of those guys. Gerard Dyson would be a great pick too. I think I don't think the Royals would ever hire him, but I think based on what I know of his personality, he'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, Hosmer's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, probably so. A few Royals transactions to talk about today. So first off, two notable pitching prospects. They got moved out of Major League camp in Ben Kudrna and Steven Zobak. Zobak is heading to AA Northwest Arkansas, according to his assignment.
We're just gonna Chaz Martinez erasure.
He's not on the 40-man roster. All right. To be fair, he's not listed on the transaction wire. All right.
Interesting.
I'm looking at the transaction wire right now.
He was just reassigned to minor league camp, I think, because because like you said, he's not on the 40-man.
Gotcha. I might have missed it. I think I might have missed
it.
The
Royals announced all three at the same time on social media.
Gotcha. Yeah, they only have two on the transaction wire, and Zobak and Kudrna. And Kudrna is heading to the Omaha Storm Chasers, which is going to be that's the barometer I need him to meet right now.
Mm-hmm.
What wasn't really meeting it in big league camp, unfortunately. Hopefully things go better for him as the season goes along. So another transaction to talk about, Dairon Blanco. He was not looking for a new team for very long. They DFA'd him on the 2nd, and the Rangers claimed him off of waivers today. So, Jeremy, are we surprised? He doesn't have to move his stuff far, at least. They share a training complex for spring training, at least.
Not surprised at all. He's shown enough with the bat to be interesting, and obviously he's shown the speed in the past. The question is the speed still there after all the Achilles stuff last year, not yesterday, last year? And we've talked about he's getting older. Is the bat still there? Because he did not play particularly well in AAA last year, but he's got enough tools that if you've shown enough in the past that if you've got an open 40-man spot, go ahead and give him a shot. See, you can cut him later and you haven't lost anything.
Yeah, that's true. And I completely missed when they DFA'd him that he has 2 minor league options remaining. He has a little bit of roster flexibility.
one more reason why I was like, why is it Blanco instead of Waters?
Yeah.
And I guess the only thing we could figure was that the Royals thought Blanco would make it through waivers now and Waters would only make it through later, but Blanco didn't make it through now.
Nope. And that's a calculated risk. You're not gonna hit up 100% on those moves. And I'm not gonna be one to cry over Dairon Blanco finding another spot,
I mean, it's one of those things that when you're just like super deep into it and you're like, if we're looking for the 100% most optimal choices, then I would argue that you should have kept Blanco and cut Waters, because I think Blanco has more potential for this year's team and neither has much long-term potential for the Royals. But like you said, it's not something worth losing sleep over. You could optimize it more maybe, but it's optimized. When you're looking at this level, it just doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, agreed.
Speaking of Texas, Jacob.
Yeah, they are in the headlines for another reason, man.
So they have a statue of a Texas Ranger that was removed from a public facility, an airport, I believe, because of its racist origins. It was based on a old Texas Ranger. I do not remember his name. I don't really want to say it anyways, because we don't need to remember that guy's name, who was known to work to actively prevent the integration of schools following the court rulings that segregation was, unlawful. And he still worked to prevent the integration of schools. And so he was, even the Texas, I guess, government was like, this is too racist. We can't have this here. We got to give in on this one. And the Texas Rangers were like, yeah, we'll take that and put it in our stadium. So that's what they did, is they moved the statue there and they unveiled it there. And the Rangers are going to sit there and they're going to tell you, well, he doesn't represent one Texas Ranger. He represents all Texas Rangers. And there's diversity and they work hard and they do good and blah, blah, blah. And let's set aside the ACAB for a minute, because that's what Texas Rangers are. They're cops. Well, let's set that aside for a minute, though. We'll just pretend that no one thinks ACAB, okay? You can have a statue of any Texas Ranger to represent all Texas Rangers. You could build a new statue to represent Texas Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
You could erect a new statue. You didn't do that. You went and got the statue that was specifically taken down for its racist origins.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't believe you. I think you're blowing smoke at me. Also, the Texas Rangers, by the way, still the only team without a Pride Night in MLB.
Yep. Do you think this is a dog whistle?
Oh, yes. I'm trying to remember exactly what dog whistle means. I'm not sure if it's it's dog whistle for sure.
Yeah.
It's a dog whistle. It's 100%. Hey guys, we don't support the people. No, we promise that all you people saying it's racist. It's not. It doesn't have to be racist. Hey, racist. It's a little racist. We're okay with you guys.
So here's some dates. Let's give folks a little bit of a timeline here, because this statue was up for a minute, right? It was erected in 1961, and it stood at Dallas Love Field. It wasn't removed until 2020, and it was in storage since then. So it's been sitting somewhere in some facility collecting dust, and the Rangers pulled it out, and that is what they are choosing to represent their team. I know it's not a mascot. I know it's not something that folks are really going to see unless they go to games, but it's still like a representation of the organization.
I'm waiting for a Fox national broadcast to just do when they do those exterior shots, to just do an exterior shot that really highlights that statue. I'm just waiting for that to happen now.
Yeah. And this is one of those things. There's a whole book. There's a lot of articles about this situation, about this specific Texas Ranger. I will say the name because I want folks to learn about this a little bit. It was a Ranger named Bill McDonald. He was a captain.
That's not the name I had.
Okay, gotcha.
I had an abbreviation of some sort.
Well,
maybe I'm remembering wrong. I don't know.
Okay, well let me double check. What in the world? Okay, so hold on here. So One Riot, One Ranger. That's the name of this
Already
statue.
Sounds sketch.
It was installed from 1961 to 2020 at Dallas Left Field. It was named for Bill McDonald, a captain of Ranger Company B,
All
who
right.
broke up an
I don't
illegal
know what
boxing
name I
match.
had in my head, but it was the wrong name.
Well, but though the statue does not depict McDonald, it was Banks. Is that the name you have?
Yeah.
J. Banks?
Yeah.
So see, I apologize, everyone. I didn't know about this before Jeremy brought it up, so I'm learning as well. And there is the Kansas tie, because Banks's actions came after Brown versus Board, which, if you've ever been to Topeka, Kansas, I hope that you've visited I don't know if it's a museum technically. It's been a long time since I've been there, but the building remembering Brown versus Board and how that started in Topeka, and both the lead up to the Supreme Court case and the reaction afterwards. Banks was for the time, a viral part of the reaction, right? Like, this was, I looked at the picture that they pulled the statue from. I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this picture before. I don't know where, but I recognized it. I do want to say, I feel like there was a pretty even keeled quote that I found here, and I can't attribute it properly. The quote goes,
Are you trying to say I wasn't even keeled, Jacob? You trying to say I might be a little hot about this issue?
Which, I'm not saying that you're wrong to be hot about it, but I do think that there could be folks like, oh, well, this isn't that big of a deal. But I thought that this quote summed it up in a pretty succinct way. Like, yeah, it's a Ranger. Rangers do great things, but this one Ranger didn't do the best of things, and it's a black guy in our community, and we're trying to move past that. It's hard to move past it if you memorialize it. That's all I can say.
Yep. And I'm sure there are some people out there going, stick to sports. Tell that to the Rangers.
Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true. All right, well, we do have sports to stick to, which you have an article coming out on Monday on royalsreview.com. Go check out the website. If you're listening to this podcast right now, make your next visit royalsreview.com. You have an article coming out detailing who is hot and who is not right now in the arid Arizona desert.
Yes.
And one of those guys that you name is Noah Cameron, who is pitching today.
Yeah.
Has your opinion changed of him at all after we see this fastball velocity come back up, and he's looking a little sharper, at least?
So I wrote in the article, this is all based on Friday stats. I don't think I'm going to update it from there.
Okay.
So it's a lot of work to get all these stats together.
It is. It's a tedious part of the job.
And Noah Cameron, I put, was a not. He was not hot as of Friday morning when I was compiling all these stats, because in part, I mean, he's not pitched well. He had walked as many as he'd struck out, 2 and 2 in 2.2 innings. And his velocity was down. His fastball velocity in particular was down 2 miles an hour on average from last year. Now, his fastball velocity today is back up to his average from last year. All of his velocities today were about where his averages were last year. So that's good news. He's probably not hurt. But last spring, his velocities were all higher than they eventually would be during the regular season. So, in fact, his fastball velocity last spring was about 2 miles per hour faster on average than the average he carried during the season. And some of that may be because I didn't look this deep into it. It may be because he wore down at the end of the season and the velocity came down and brought the average down. But that does me a little bit of a concern. I wrote in the article, it's doing me a hecking concern, but
I haven't heard that
I'm
in a
still
minute.
a little concerned about the velocity and also the number of walks. He still walked another today. He did strike out 3 and he walked 1, but that gives him 3 walks in 5 2/3 innings, which is way too many.
Yeah.
Especially compared to 5 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings. That's not enough.
No, it's not. Something else.
And consider the level of competition he's facing.
Which they're facing the Chicago White Sox today. For the White Sox, it's been like kind of their A- squad. I would say they're missing a couple of guys with the WBC, but it's still mostly their regulars, or guys who figure to be their regulars. I love that he's showing a good pitch mix right now. He tossed 5 different pitches a significant amount of times today, but he got batted around hard.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
A lot. Like 6 hard hit balls in 3 innings pitched. That's not a good rate right there.
And when I was doing my research, I saw one of the things that's the stickiest from spring training to the regular season is 2 of the things that are stickiest. How about that? Exit velocity and fastball velocity are 2 of the stickiest stats from spring to regular season. So if they're batting him around and his fastball velocity isn't as high as we want it to be, those are some serious signs for concern.
Yeah, that they are. And I don't know how much Royals fans are, this sounds terrible to say. I don't know how much Royals fans are going to cry about this, because it seems like there's a lot of support for Ryan Bergert getting that 5th spot. And
I mean, I think a lot of Royals fans, I'll cry about it, but I also won't be overly concerned about how it affects the team. I'll be disappointed for Noah. But like you said, Ryan Bergert, who is on my hot list, he looks like he can just step into that 5th starter role and take it over and be just fine.
Yeah, that's what it's looked like so far. Go ahead.
If Noah Cameron is your 6th starter, even with those concerns, you feel pretty good about that as your 6th starter.
Yeah. That you do. You did have a surprise pitcher in your hot selection. I'm looking at the write up here. Beck Way. That is not a name that folks have heard in a while. But why did you choose to highlight him?
So the stuff, the fastball velocity, which I chose to translate to stuff. So if you're getting whiffs, if you're showing off some good velocity, some good movement, that's generally considered pretty sticky.
Mm-hmm.
From spring training to the regular season. I know I'm using that word a lot, but it's the word everyone uses. So
that it is.
I'm just going to keep using it. And he's showing good stuff. He is technically in minor league camp pitching for the big league team in spring training. He is not particularly close to the big leagues. He looked awful. We talked about this, I think, a little bit when we were talking about relief pitchers and our depth chart kind of analysis during the offseason. He has no control. He hasn't shown control in spring training either. He's still walking guys, but the stuff is there.
Yeah.
And among all the pitchers that we're seeing, he is one of only a couple guys who isn't already on the 40-man who's showing some stuff.
That's good. Another guy who's showing a lot of, I don't want to say stuff as well, but showing a lot of promise here is Dennis Kolaron Jr.
Yeah.
He is, I mean, he's a guy who, if you follow Annie Rogers on social media, which I highly suggest you do, she said about a month ago now that he was a guy, or I don't know if it was a guy or the prospect to watch. But he's flashed a lot of promise, man.
Yeah, and one of the things that spring training is good for is listen to the buzz. Even if you don't trust any of the stats, you can listen to the team buzz, and they'll tell you who they like and who you might see later. And there's a lot of buzz. And I don't just mean the bees around the dugout in today's game. There's a lot of buzz for Dennis Kolaron Jr. or Kolaron Jr., however you say that. And he did me a little bit of concern last year. I'm trying to remember. I think I had him 15th on the most important relief pitchers for the Royals.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't remember what my concerns were about him. He has a really good ERA. He's got really good stuff.
Yeah, he does.
He's got really good stuff. Lots of break, lots of velocity. He is a guy I 100% expect to see in Kansas City sometime this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think he will break camp with the club, but if he doesn't play for Kansas City sometime during the year, he's either hurt or traded.
Yeah, I fully agree. And also I will, you know me, I love responding to random things I see on social media.
Yeah.
I saw someone's gripe being that the Royals they have a below average bullpen that is not kin to what a contending club would have. What?
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
This bullpen right now is shaping up to be one of the strongest bullpens that we've seen post World Series from the Royals.
Yeah.
I would argue, I think that there's a strong argument to say that it's the strongest bullpen since that period. And I think that
There
this is just another example we got spoiled by HDH, and that's our
Yeah.
expectation.
There are good relievers who are going to start the year in Omaha.
Yeah.
Steven Cruz
Probably
would
gonna
be the
start in Omaha.
closer in 22.
Yeah.
He's
No doubt.
probably going to start the year in Omaha.
Yeah.
Don't
James
tell me this
MacArthur.
bullpen isn't good. Even if Carlos Estevez is done, which I'm not ready to say, though he has not yet pitched for the Dominican Republic, and that's
Yeah.
concerning me a little bit. I guess it's possible they just haven't gotten to him yet, but come on. And they did have a
mercy rule, right?
a mercy rule game, so maybe they were gonna pitch him in that game and they just didn't get a chance to. But even if you don't have him, you've still got Lucas Erceg and Matt Strahm at the back end of your bullpen.
Yeah.
You've still got John Schreiber, who I know people hate, but he's not bad. He's fine. He's fine.
He
If
looked
he's
bad
your
today.
sixth or seventh inning guy, you're good. You're fine. And Nick Mears, you got Alex Lang is showing some stuff. You got a few other guys. The guy who was the closer in 24 at the beginning of 24, also probably going to start the year at AAA, James MacArthur.
Yeah. That's true.
I don't know what you guys want from your bullpen. They can't all be the guy from Oakland who's now in San Diego.
Mason Miller.
They can't. I was going to say Robert Miller. I'm like, that's wrong. They can't all be Mason Miller. Okay. They can't all be Greg Holland. They can't all be Wade Davis.
Nope.
You're
That's
gonna
how it
have
works.
to. You're gonna have to accept that Lucas Erceg and Matt Strahm are very, very good, and that everyone else is probably fine.
Yeah, there you go. I will say John Schreiber he did not look good very good today against the White Sox. He got handled as well. But that's spring training for you.
The way that the team has played since the WBC started, even the good players on the team have looked bad. Cole Reagans didn't look good.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
his start without everyone else. So I mean, as far as results, when I looked at his stuff later, it was still there.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
I'll look at Schreiber's stuff later and be like, is it still there? Then we're fine. I don't care. You just can't care what the results are because, again, John Schreiber might be out there going, man, I really got to work on my sweeper. All I'm doing today is throwing sweepers. And they're good sweepers, but if you throw 20 sweepers in a row, they're going to hit them.
So I want to talk one last player. That's it, because I don't want to spoil too much for the article coming out tomorrow. On Spotify, where you can comment on our podcast episodes, Martha Mary asked, was Collins a mistake? And you do have Isaac Collins listed as not hot for a good reason, but you did also kind of have an I don't want to say excuse, but an excuse for him, you know?
Yeah. I don't remember what my excuse was now.
He hasn't got a lot of work.
Oh, well, yeah, his sample size is just tiny right now. I mean, he did have 3 more bats today with 2 strikeouts, though one of them, he was having a real problem with the strike zone, and the Royals had already run out of challenges. He couldn't get out of it. So I don't know. The exit velocities are way down. Also, I am concerned, but it just makes the Starling Marte signing look that much better. I mean, the Royals need 2 of the 4. Okay, let's say 2 of the 4, Jack Caglione, Lane Thomas, Isaac Collins, Starling Marte. They need 2 of those 4 to be league average. I think Jack Caglione is going to be more than league average. So you need 1 of the other 3 to be league average. And I think between those 3, you will find 1 league average bat. Whether that's through platooning or one guy just taking it over or however this works, I am concerned, but I'm concerned for Collins, not for the team.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And to that point about his exit velocity, that wasn't exactly his calling card in Milwaukee either. Like he was in the 30th percentile for average exit velocity. Like he was well below league average.
Isaac Collins' game is not swinging at balls, and when he hits the ball, he pulls it in the air.
Yep.
Gets the most out of what power he does have. Those are his 2 calling cards. It's hard to tell how much those are helping this early in the spring. And he got a late start because of the PRP injections.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it goes. I'm not ready to write him off.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone should write him off yet. I think like this is a guy you at least give until the end of May before you completely write him off. I will be sounding alarm bells by the end of April if this continues, though.
I'm ready to stop calling for him to be the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, I can agree with that sentiment.
But I'm not ready to write him off the team.
Okay, I like it. All right, Jeremy, any other Royals related stuff?
We had Seth Lugo in the World Baseball Classic, 4 shutout innings as Puerto Rico earned their Game 1 victory. Michael Wacha pitched 3 relief innings for USA, got 5 strikeouts, but also gave up 3 runs on 4 hits. That was kind of a weird outing.
Yeah.
We have not yet seen Matt Strahm. Bobby Witt Jr. has a couple stolen bases, a hit, a couple walks. We talked about Vinny Pasquantino had a few walks. Michael has a couple hits, I think. I've mostly been following Pool B, so excuse me for not following what Michael and Salvi are doing in Venezuela for Venezuela. I'm pretty sure they're both doing fine. They haven't done anything amazing, but they're not screwing up either. Jack Caglione didn't play in Game 2 for Italy. In Game 1, he did have an RBI double that he hit 106 miles an hour and almost got 2 RBIs out of it, but really good throw from Manny Ramirez from Brazil.
Man, I'm blanking on his
Lucas
first name.
Ramirez.
Lucas, thank you. Yeah, because he had that home run off of Logan Webb, it was, I think.
He's having a coming out party this WBC.
Yeah.
So yeah.
A lot of good action to watch. There's a whole WBC website if you want to go find the full schedule. Like Jeremy said, there are some free games out there, especially on Tubi. I see that they have at least 1 game a day, but you want to tune in Monday night and Tuesday night if you're a Team USA fan, because those are the titular games for that squad.
The USA has already won. They've played Great Britain, and who was their first game? Was that Brazil?
I believe it was Brazil, yes.
Yeah, so they've played their 2 weakest opponents, but they're much stronger than Mexico and Italy, at least on paper. That's why they play the games.
Exactly.
And Italy has been Italy used their 2 weakest starters against Brazil and Great Britain, specifically to save their 2 better starters, Aaron Nola and Michael Lorenzen, for Mexico and USA. How that sets them up for what I'm concerned about is you get to the quarterfinals and you can't use Nola or Lorenzen because they pitched too recently, perhaps. But them's the breaks, I guess.
Yep.
So we'll just, maybe the offense will continue showing up. They got to drink all those espressos somehow.
That they do. If you want to talk about the games along with other Royals fans, you can go check out royalsreview.com. We got the threads, we got the rumblings every single day over there. That's the good meeting spot, I would call it, for the website. Or you could feed the feed with your own content and thoughts.
I knew you were going to say that.
For Royals reviews, I got a quick one today. But she wanted to watch Turning Red today. If you haven't heard of that one, it's a 2022 Pixar film. It's probably my favorite Pixar film of the last 5 years. I think it's a really, really fun movie. I think it has a good message and good execution, and it has just enough of the anime-like styling to it. It's a good movie that you don't see too often.
What's Turning Red about?
So Turning Red, I want to pull up a synopsis because I don't want to butcher it too much.
Okay.
So it is in 2002 Toronto. A 13-year-old Mei Lee lives with their parents and helps take care of their family's temple. Yeah.
Didn't know the name.
And it's all about like being your own person at that age.
Yeah. It's a puberty film for women.
Yeah. I like it. I
think it's important to be able to talk about getting a period in a way like we don't need to treat this like it's some disgusting thing that we don't ever talk about.
Fair enough. Jeremy, what you got for a review, man?
I'm going to review. By the way, have you seen the trailer for the new Pixar film?
Which one?
I can't remember what it's called, but they put a person in a woodland animal and they throw a party.
Hoppers. Yeah, I saw like the Disney Plus. You pull it up, and their top thing is like a special look at hoppers, and it's basically an extended trailer. It looks good. It just doesn't feel very original.
Yeah, I can't get excited about that. Man, all I want to talk about is the commercials I've been forced to watch while I'm watching the WBC.
Well, let's hear it.
Tubi, by the way, no commercials on Tubi. They just put a thing out that says it's commercial break. We'll be back soon. That's lovely. But I keep seeing this dang commercial that I must have skeeted about like 6 times yesterday. Zachary Levi talking about the story of David from the Bible, not just David versus Goliath, but his whole thing. And I'm so weirded out by how very British David is. Like it's 2026. Are we not past like all people not in America have British accents?
Apparently not.
I know. He is so British. And then I also I keep thinking that one of the things that Zachary Levi points out as he's describing David is united a country. I'm like, wasn't the country divided because of David?
I don't know about all that.
I let me tell you, I have read the Bible from cover to cover. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Was it David's fault? I don't remember that necessarily. I don't think so, but he was the point of contention that caused the division. So I don't think he gets credit for uniting the country.
I'm sure we'll hear some very passionate reviews about that product once it comes out. I forget the release date, but I know what you're talking about. I shit you not, Jeremy. As we're recording this podcast, we're getting dinner right now with the family, and our routine is we pull up Tubi and we watch Hell's Kitchen because it's the uncensored version of Hell's Kitchen on Tubi.
But you got to have the uncensored version.
Yeah, it's changes the tone even more than you would think. So yeah, still, I know I've recommended Tubi on this podcast before. Still, go check it out.
Never used Tubi before I was watching World Baseball Classic games. I am rapidly becoming a fan.
There's a lot of stuff.
For no other reason than I don't have to watch commercials.
Yeah, that part.
I swear they play that David commercial once a commercial break on Fox.
Well, because isn't it like a Fox streaming thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I'm watching it on the Fox apps, I've watched one on Fox Sports, one on YouTube, and then I watched one on the Fox One app, and they both were playing that David commercial just nonstop.
Gotcha. So, all right, folks. On that note, we are going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Royals Rundown Podcast. Again, subscribe or follow wherever you're listening at so you never miss another episode, or you could just go and bookmark royalsreview.com, make that a part of your daily routine. Check out the rumblings, check out the great content that is coming out there every single day, to include our podcast twice a week. That is Jeremy Greco. I am Jacob Milham. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, go Royals.
Well, you know what? We didn't talk about Walker told me I have AIDS.
Yeah, I missed that. Gosh dang it.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.